This
I think.
conference will
There
now
we
be
go.
recorded.
All right. So how's everybody doing?
Good. We got a new Thunder, Aubrey.
We do.
Yeah,
Nice.
she's audio only though today.
Uh,
And
oh, there's
She's
Grant too.
that's what I need to be. I need to be audio only.
I was getting ready to say, and Grant made a special appearance today, or not appearance today, or whatever.
No, I'm gonna
That's
put my
why.
video on. I've been busy, man.
That's why I put pictures up on mine because I don't want to scare anybody when they see me.
Yeah.
Oh hell, let us see at your worst.
Yeah.
So, um, anybody think? Oh, there's Grant.
Holy hell, now we
So,
are scared.
I don't really have anything new. I've been just taking care of questions and stuff like that. I haven't really played with anything or experimented. I did. I
I've had
did.
a
Huh?
no. I was gonna say I've had a few people asking me about the Odin, and the Rotary and stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
so
I,
I don't know if you guys are figured that out as far as what's gonna go with that. But my
well,
recommendation to the two people that have called me, or not called me, but reached out to me, has been the junior. So I don't
okay.
know what you guys' thoughts are on that or
I,
what your plan
well,
is on that, but
yeah, from what we talked about though, I was thinking the low roller might be better, and you said the junior would fit in that 7.1. And that's
yeah.
with the honeycomb and stuff in. So if you take that out, you get a little extra,
Yeah, see, the problem with the low roller is, like I said, the clearance and the wheels and being able to fully adjust it because
hmm
there is no knife blade for it to sit on. The junior, um, you won't be limited on any of that stuff. Plus, you'll have the bigger wheels and everything for it.
Well, since it's a gray area, if they happen not to fit, we'll just switch them. We'll get it. We'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
I don't have that 32 yet, or I would test it. But I think it's 7.1. I'm not sure about using the one that I've got because it was a prototype. It had a camera embedded
Yeah.
in it and all kinds of crazy stuff. And the head has changed, and a lot of the stuff has changed. So I don't want to
Well,
trust the way my setup is on that Odin 22, because that was one that was in development. And the dimensions may not even be the same. They may have done some stuff to
Yeah,
it
I
since
heard
then.
back from China on the 32. They said that, let me see, they're still improving the cooling system for the 60 watt. So there's some delay in shipping out yours, Brian. So that's why you haven't got yours yet. They're still playing with it.
I think it's got ports. I'll put a chiller on it. I don't care.
yeah,
I've got an extra chiller now. But yeah, I can't wait to get that thing. I'm super excited about it. Like super duper excited. Like I think it might be my main machine. I think the Nova will be put, as second. I think the Odin 32 is going to take over.
And that
you
leads
don't
to a
hardly
question
use.
that I got the other day. So it can be water cooled too. I know they mentioned it, but I don't understand that.
It wouldn't be good to do after the fact. You would want to order it water cooled because they plug the ports and stuff. I mean, you wouldn't just want to take a drill and put some barbs in there and hook it up. You know what I mean? The air cooling, they're designed. Usually, that's the higher wattage ones. But
Okay.
they build them the same. And the galleries are there. The cooling system is inside there. But it's basically it's got a built-in radiator in the frame of
Yeah,
the aluminum of it itself. But they just cap them off because air cooling's usually
they
fine.
still have liquid in them, I believe. It's just the outer fins and everything cools everything down as it flows, right?
I'm not sure. I've had some Sinrads apart, but not all the way. I typically when I have an RF tube, I don't take it apart because it usually is working, and I don't want to make it not work. But I
Yeah.
will look into it one of these days.
I was just curious if they were pre-filled with like some glycol
Yeah,
or something.
I think it's all just metal. I think all the thermal transfers just through that aluminum through the body itself. Um, but I don't know for sure. But I know there's
Uh,
galleries in there for a lot of those that you can hook a water cool. You can hook a chiller up to them.
I also asked
What were you
about
saying, Grant?
recharging everything,
Yeah.
and they said it would take a week to get it to China, a week to recharge it, and then a week to ship it back. So about a month.
Okay, is that a full refurb? Do they go through the optics and the output coupler and clean it all up? I'm sure it probably is.
Probably.
They ought to just put one on the shelf, the first one, and then start rotating them out. If they were going to do that, that'd save a lot of time. You send yours in, they send you another one, then they refurb yours, put it on the shelf, and then just rotate them out. But whatever they want to do.
And I don't
That would
know
make
how much
sense.
it'll cost to recharge it. I know how much a new tube is, but I don't know how much it is to
How
recharge it.
much is the tube for the 60 watt?
It's gonna be
About.
about 6,000, maybe a little bit below that. I know
Yeah.
the upgrade from the Nova machine is 6,000.
Yeah.
So
So usually a refurb, or a regas on one of those RF tubes is what? Well, I checked like 5 or 10 years ago, but it was $1,000, maybe 1,500, and it depends on whether they just regas it or whether they rebuild the output coupler and all that. So
I guess the Odin's not a water cooled machine.
no, it's air cooled.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
got
high
a,
voltage,
it's
is
not exactly.
it?
I mean, the 22 is, but it's a 30 watt. And actually, I never got a good feeling about it, but I do because I'm starting to run it more now, and I even have a good feeling about that one. But this 60 watts is going to be a game changer. I'm so excited, and I bet you it'll compete with my Nova 35. I'm going to put them head to head, and I bet you that Odin will outperform it, cutting and
I might
everything,
have to
because
get
the
rid of
beam
my
is so much
24.
smaller. Hmm.
So I might have to get rid of my 24.
Well, I'm not going to count my chickens for my hatch, but I've got pretty high expectations. So, anyway, that'll be cool if I ever get it.
It's all Grant's fault.
Nah, they're not holding it on me.
No,
They
I was just
they
trying to
said it
get it.
was on the assembly line, I don't know, a month ago or so, but they just didn't mention that assembly line wasn't moving.
No, he was just
must be
preoccupied, so I was trying to bust him a little bit.
Oh
He
yeah,
didn't even hear me
must
because
be
he didn't
he
have
one
his
probably got
earpiece
another
in.
call. Yeah.
He didn't have
must
his
be one
earpiece
really
in, so I
big
didn't hear it.
assembly line.
Well, all right. Well, does anybody have any questions or comments or anything?
And that's a big no.
All righty.
A short
Can't
meeting.
make I can't make your meeting today, Brian. I did it a couple trips days.
Oh, yeah.
John.
I
I'm trying to think of what to even ask, and I'm sitting here going,
I don't have anything new. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. See, what's weird. Once all the questions are answered, a lot of new ones don't ever come up. Once you cover them all,
You were
and
looking at
that's
I
that.
what
got
I'm.
some questions.
You were looking
All
at
right.
that shorter head.
I'm sorry.
The shorter head. You said there's a new head that's shorter.
Yeah, I have a couple of them supposedly coming my way. Let me check with Grant and the guys over there. They were going to send me a couple of them, I think, and I'll have them follow up on that. And I'm going
That
to
would be
test it.
nice.
And yeah, but there is a shorter head for the 63, so that they can make that modification so that the parts will fit underneath it in the crate, the chiller and stuff. So, um, and people have realized some benefit from having that one, using the pass through and just focusing on larger materials. So. I'm still waiting, but I'll get it to you. I haven't forgotten. I've even
Good.
got you on a post-it note. You have your own separate post-it note up here on my monitor.
All right.
And there's another one. There's two people wanting the Odin, whenever that comes in, the Odin and Nova um, comparison or showdown or whatever, ASAP. So that'll probably be high on the priority list too.
I got some things in the pipeline too that we haven't talked about. I got to get with you.
Oh, like now? Do you want to talk about it?
I was like, well, dump it. Now, don't do that and then say that.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Hey,
I
I
didn't
got some
listen,
cool stuff
Grant.
to tell you. Call me after the meeting.
Yeah, that's not
It's
good.
not really
No, I
public
got you.
information just yet.
I got you. Well, I'll be ringing you at 4:01. Unless nobody
Well,
has any questions, then it might be a little earlier.
I say hit the stop recording, talk about it, and then hit record again.
I don't know. It might take the
Just
whole
go
hour
through
for
the
y'all to
road.
go through my non-disclosure agreement and get it signed. It's rather lengthy.
How was your training with Zach on EasyCAD and Fiber?
It was really good. My short-term memory loss didn't help a lot because I don't know how much I retained, and it's kind of like a locker combo. I can go over them now, and I feel more confident, and I know what the buttons do. But relaying that to you guys. I might need another refresher. I might get him just to see if we can work on something and do some recording, you know, or some slots for Thunder people and have it a little more Thunder specific since he'll have all the settings. But he did say that the Aurora was set up a little uniquely from a lot of the other configurations, and he said it was right. It was good. So he liked the way they have it configured. So I'm going to take that as a good sign.
Hey,
But
I go to a 3D maker for my Aspire stuff since I have the CNC. And here lately, I've been seeing this one guy's been putting Glowforge or Forge Glow, whatever the other, he's been putting his files in there. Is that the same file we run, or is that a different file, Glowforge?
Different.
Well, usually if you're going to do like a 3D relief, is that what you're after? Or, you
No,
know,
this is a guy that does 3D relief models, but
oh,
he started to put on his sites Glowforge models. They say Glowforge. So they're for laser cutters, but I don't know what
well,
format Glowforge uses. That's
right.
why.
Well, I
So,
mean,
so
if they use
Glowforge uses
grayscale, they could probably use a grayscale depth map.
It
I
could
think
also be
they
a
actually use
CPU.
I think they use a web interface, like instead of Lightburn, so that it's
Yeah.
still a website, but they're going to push an SVG or a PNG or whatever the actual source artwork file through their website.
But I mean, are you talking about achieving actual 3D relief where you get depth? Or are you talking about just the illusion of it?
I'm not sure. I just happened to come across it the other day. I was checking the site. While you were doing this, I might be able to bring it up, get the email and send it to you, and you can look at it.
Gotcha.
I think I know
Uh,
what you're talking about, and it did look pretty good. Was it a skull with a knife in its mouth?
It was a particular model maker. I have about 20 of them. I go to once in a while and just look at what they got. I'll see if I can find it while you guys are talking.
okay.
And if I
But
can, I'll.
3D relief can be achieved on the CO2 lasers by using the grayscale and then using a grayscale depth map. It looks like an X-ray.
How
And
hard is that
so,
to do?
well, if you have Aspire, you can take a 3D rendering that you have and convert it to a grayscale depth map. It ends up being a bitmap.
Okay.
Let me,
Yeah, so what happens is if you're going to cut like a deeper cut from the surface, it's a darker black, and a lighter cut will be a lighter, towards the white end of the grayscale, and then
Okay.
it'll cut deeper and use more power the darker it is. So to give you a pseudo 3D, right? I guess it's more like a 2.5D almost, right? It's you get
well,
the depth, but
see,
So it just comes out as a bit. You bring it out as a bit map and load it in white.
well, yeah, but it's special if you want to get the depth. They look like this. They well, here, let's just search for one. Um, and they look like this. And like Jeremy was saying, you set the range, and then the lighter the color, the less power. So you set a range 0 to 100, let's just say, and black would be 100% power, white would be 0 power, and then 50% gray would be 50% power. So that's how it does it. But they look a little funny to be able to get that relief. But that's what they look like. If I can get one to
and
pull
then
up here.
Okay.
yeah,
Thanks.
and that is a true like a depth map, right? And then there's pseudo or the illusion of 3D, where there's 3D illusion where you use
Right.
your tones where it looks three dimensional but it's perfectly flat. Right? There's no depth to it.
Right.
Yeah, if you don't put USA before China.
So
That lady was
anyway, that's
scared.
how. Yeah, it's pretty neat, and it's actually pretty easy to do. So that article's on the support thing, on the support site. You can just search for 3D. I did it in acrylic too, and I like the way it turned out in acrylic.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. When you do it in acrylic, especially if you do it in a thicker piece of acrylic, you can look at the side
Hmm.
profile and you can see the actual depth, just like the
Yeah,
sample piece that comes with your laser. You can see the side profile of the cut and the beam signatures of the depth, and you see that hey, the darker spots are deeper and the lighter spots are
cool.
shallower.
Yeah, let's see. I think I got a picture of that. 3D relief on acrylic. Yeah, there's the picture of that one. And I've got the files at the bottom of this and everything. You can load them. It's the same file I used on the other one. I thought there was an actual picture, but anyway, it's at the end here. There should be at the end. Yeah, but that's a neat effect. Let me see if I can get it. That part's a little out of focus, but it looks really cool when you look at it sideways. So, and that's on 3/4, but it doesn't leave a really cool effect.
If you do it from
Neat stuff.
behind,
Neat stuff.
it'll enhance it.
Yeah, it looks funny from the other side too. It works. I don't know why my pictures aren't showing up here.
Yeah, so we're
It's
talking about
weird.
like if you negative it and reverse the design, and grab it
So
from the
either you
back.
do reverse or do it on the back, and then it shows through, so you got more depth.
Yep.
You actually have
Yeah.
depth to it. And then what you can do also is clean out the engraving, and then use a map gas torch and hit it with a map gas torch, and
Flame polish it a little bit.
it'll
Polish
get
it.
rid of that cloudiness and
Hmm.
flame polish it, so it'll be nice and sharp.
Yeah. A good benefit to doing that on the back side is you could leave the front side facing and say it was a cover or something, and you could wipe it off easy. Stuff wouldn't get in it. I bet you could put some colored acrylic in there too and fill it with acrylic. You could even flame polish it and then pour it in. Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you leave the tape on it, you can do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
After the fact, you can use color fill or whatnot.
Hmm.
Did any of you see Chris Lacasio's video where he went in and hit the acrylic with one pass and then painted it and then hit it again? I think Robert did a follow-on video and you get some really nice photo effects on that as well.
Hmm. Some neat stuff. Cool.
Hey, Jason,
Huh?
when am I gonna get that rotary, man?
I'm waiting on the other parts to come in.
Okay.
They should hopefully be here soon.
You gonna get me one, Grant?
But with the way logistics are going, we're not
I know
looking.
how it is, man.
You heard me. Do I get one?
You
What's
get
You
that?
two of
should.
them.
Huh?
You should get one.
Awesome. I need to know what they're all
What?
about.
I don't know who's getting what and how many, so that's all I need to know.
We need 2 fulls for sure, so Brian can get one.
Okay, so you're getting one of each, and he's getting the full, right?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
You'll have to
I
make
just need the parts kit.
the upgrade.
As soon as all that stuff comes in, I'll be sending it out. So
That'll be cool. Have you still got aluminum plates for those acrylic units? Because I've still got an acrylic one here, and I never did upgrade it. I could do that in the full metal kit, and wouldn't it be about the same for a
yeah,
junior?
I've got the metal plates
I'll get
for
with you later
everything.
on that. If I'm gonna get that full, I might as well build this junior all metal, and get it
Yeah,
the same way so that I can compare them. Instead of getting a whole new one, I might as well just revamp that one, be a lot cheaper. Because it still works. I still use it, and the O-rings are cracked and everything, and I still use it. I mean, not all
that,
day, not every day, but
that's
that's
what I don't
that's.
understand. I've had my same rotary for right about 2 years now, maybe a little bit longer, and my O-rings haven't cracked. I haven't had any issues with them.
Mhm. Well, are you in a conditioned space? Because this place will get 40 in the winter and 100 in the summer. I don't have any control over it, so that might be
I
part of it.
mean,
And it's pretty humid. Well, you're in Florida; it's humid there too.
I just keep mine below 95.
What are you doing with that new one to protect it? Do you sleep with it or anything?
What
You took it on
with what?
vacation with you.
Oh no, that was the one that had all the prototype parts on it.
Yeah, I was going to say
And
you
I
had
was
more pictures taken with that Rotary than you did your family, so I figured you might be carrying that thing to bed with you
Well, no, my family wasn't with me. It was just me and a buddy.
in your Rotary. That's
Turned
hilarious.
turned the business trip into a road trip.
There you go. That's the way to do it. Now that's
So
cool.
The only part that I need on mine is the little rubber piece that goes on the clamp that rotates. I was doing a vase. I think it was a vase. No, it was the urns that I did a while back. And I think it came off with one of the urns and I shipped it with it. So I don't have the little rubber piece anymore.
You've contaminated it, Grant.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
contaminated the urn.
Ship extra parts in an urn, Grant.
Pretty sad. Pretty sad.
That was not a fun time. I had to do a lot of hard work. It was like 8
I-
urns that I had to engrave.
You know what? I've got this crate sitting over here, and I emailed China about it. You know, with all those return parts, the warranty parts, Grant. And I have this drone that flew in my yard, and I put it in my HOA page and said, if anybody's missing a drone, come get it. Nobody ever came after 6 months. And I'm thinking about throwing that drone in that box, in that crate, and hammering it up, just so when they get it, they go, what in the world is this? Because some people get some crazy stuff in their lasers, you know, a screwdriver or something like that. I just think it'd be neat. But I don't know if I want to do that, though, because when I worked for this copier place, I shipped a toner one time, and we didn't have any paper to cover up the outside. And I found some Christmas wrapping paper, and it was Christmas time, so I wrapped it in Christmas paper and mailed it to them. And they sent it back. They thought it was a joke. It was to some church or something, and they thought it was a joke, and they refused it. And I don't understand why. But so I learned not to do anything different when I'm shipping stuff. But I really want to throw that drone in that crate to see what happens. What do you think?
I would do it, man.
I think I'm going to do it.
It'd probably flip. Oh, speaking of that kind of stuff, so you ended up getting those parts that were sent to Andrew, right?
I did.
Did he get the other parts? Do you know?
They were sent his way. I would assume that he did, but I'm not sure.
I learned to never assume with shipping.
So I'm not exactly sure. So all right. Well, again, if anybody has any questions, don't just sit there and let us talk. You know, kick your mic on and tell us to shut up, and we'll be glad to talk about whatever you want to talk about. We're just filling time.
I had a question about Holddowns. I saw something, you know, there's those orange ones on Etsy, and I've printed out some black ones. Those orange ones that are file for that, or just buy them from Etsy?
There's a guy that makes those, and I think he's the only one. And most people just
I
get
bought
them
'em.
direct from.
I bought them and then I end up cutting my own. So literally that's what I use any of my scrap, like 1/8 inch and a few 1/4 inch pieces of plywood. If I get a little extra, I cut my own Holddowns. That way, you can cut as many as you need, and you're using your scrap for something. And the 1/4 inch ones will give you a little more holding power, and the 1/8 inch ones give you a little more flexibility.
Yeah.
You're using a cut one, not a 3D printed one?
Yeah, I just cut it out of scrap wood.
Yeah, there's files in the global group in the files section. There's all different kinds of hold down plans and files and stuff for a lot of things like that, and some of the other groups as well.
Same with people making like standoffs for acrylic and different stuff like that, magnetic standoffs. I just cut scraps out of wood for a while and drop them in a honeycomb, and it'd stand it off to give you a little bit of clearance under it.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you a neat one. Gary Wyatt told me about it. He found some Target arrowheads tips that would fit right down in the honeycomb just right, and they were pointed, you know, but not super sharp. And he said it, you know, had no reflection, and it was a good size. It stuck up about 1 inch, and he uses those and just drops them right down in there.
So I actually last week bought some of the like the perforated metal sheets. So it's effectively a sheet of aluminum with a bunch of holes all over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then bought some of the what you call them? They're spikes like people use for like leather bracelets and dog collars and stuff like that. You bought those on Amazon. I bought 200 of those and a 2 foot by 4 foot sheet of that, and just make a drop-in panel. So I'm not dropping them in. I literally lay it in there, set the acrylic on top, and pull it out.
Well, you did it the smart way. I made one, and I made it out of a piece of steel that I got at Lowe's, and I drilled it myself when I made mine. But there's also some that magnets with holes in them that are almost the right size as some of those studs that have the screws in them, and you could even put I've seen them put magnets on them, you know, where you can just attach them.
I've got a load of magnets. I've done it the other way. The problem is you got to lay out 50 magnets. Literally, I lay one thing on there and drop it, and then swap it out. So
Gotcha.
I have, you know, effectively like a And I've got my honeycomb sitting there. I just lay this on top of the honeycomb, drop the acrylic on it, and take it out. I'm not placing magnets or standoffs.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was less
Pin
than
bed's
50
handy if
bucks
you
all
use
in. Yep. Yeah, it definitely helps with the acrylic and any flashback and issues. And the other thing is if you're cutting out stuff for acrylic, like if you're doing like multi-layered signs where you're cutting letters and stuff, any of the smaller bits that fall through the honeycomb, this catches it.
Right.
So you're fishing through your crumb tray looking for the dot on the top of an eye or something.
Hmm. Have you ever hit the tip, like had flashback directly from the tip to see, or does it
Uh,
completely mitigate that as far as you can
I've
tell?
I've run all over it and not seen any flashback on the acrylic, and I'm certain I'm
Without
running
having to
it
really do
multiple
any kind
times.
of thinking when you place it. You just drop it in and
Nope,
go.
just lay it in. Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, like I said, it was less than 50 bucks for the bits and pieces. So
Yeah. Good idea on
well
the
worth it if you
perforated
do
sheet.
anything. Yep. Yeah, and they had perforated steel, and then they had aluminum, and steel was about 3 times the cost, and I figured probably heavier, so I went with the aluminum, figuring it'd be fine, and
Yep.
it probably works better with the aluminum
Hmm.
than the steel, because if the steel was slightly bowed or something, it's going to retain it. Where
Right.
aluminum's got a little bit of give, so it sits flat.
Awesome.
Does it mess with the exhaust at all?
Nope. Now, if anything, I think it probably helps the exhaust over the honeycomb, because what you notice if you cut like smaller pieces, I've seen where people will go, try to cover up more of the honeycomb so it will get a better suction across the piece, right?
Hmm.
And this kind of, I guess, reduces the flow through the honeycomb because it's got smaller holes.
Oh, so you're not covering the entire honeycomb. You're just covering your work area.
Well, I'm covering 2 foot by 4 foot out of, what was it, 36 by 51. So I'm covering a good chunk of it, but
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, wow.
How many standoffs do you have in there?
um, probably about 180 of them.
Jesus.
I bought 4 packs of 50 of them, so there's 200, and I don't know, I have 15, 20 left, plus or minus the few bits I dropped in the shop that bounced and rolled under something somewhere. So, but yeah, that being said, they're probably on, I don't know, maybe a 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch center all the way across. So, I mean, there's no thinking about where you place it. You just lay it
Hmm.
on there, and everything's supporting, because I run into the issue placing magnets in there, and then you go cutting a bit, and this starts to sag because I didn't have enough. So I found where almost anything I cut out on it doesn't drop through, because I run into issues in the past where, hey, something will drop through, and then I'm cutting the next piece next to it, and the flame
Yeah.
under it is actually burns the top of the piece that dropped through.
Hmm.
So
So have you used it on anything besides acrylic?
I've not yet. Imagine it'll
Yeah.
work just as good
That's
on
the only
anything
reason.
else.
That's the only reason I built a pin bed when I had that K40 was just for acrylic. But I'm sure it would be good for other stuff too.
Yeah, because it's getting the flashback on your ply and stuff sucks.
Hmm. And then some people would put plaster of Paris. They'd pour that down in there to kind of absorb some of that, so you didn't get any reflectivity. But if you have to go to those measures, you're probably hitting it with too much power if you're getting that
Yeah,
much
exactly.
reflectivity. So, but that's kind of like, they say theoretically, if you have just the right amount of explosive, you'll hear a little something and the piece will break away, but there won't be a whole bunch of leftover energy. But that never works. So,
Yeah, and it's in a perfect world, right? If same
right.
with wood, I run more power just because I want to make sure it cuts all the way through. So I'll
Hmm.
run more power and speed, and rather than trying to dial it back to the bare minimum, and then you go pull your piece out and realize, oh, it didn't quite cut through this because it was a little bit different density, or in plywood there's a bit of glue there, and then you try to trim it or throw it back in depending on how complex it is, and realign it and recut with like a
Hmm.
print and cut or something.
Yeah, it can be nuts. I'm still thinking about, all right, Jeremy, you might see this. Imagine the camera, the Lightburn camera. Now imagine 4 of those crosshairs or test targets, one on each corner of the bed itself, on the corners of the honeycomb, and then imagine 4 more that are stationary on the frame around it, and it monitors those relationships as they move to automatically calculate focus and depth and things like that. What do you think about that? I think the machine vision, you know, as a whole has the capability and technology to do that. I don't know if Lightburn would, but or could.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's going to come down to the processing of the camera, right? And, because you're talking about like a fisheye lens and the angle to out to translate to the depth. And I don't know how accurate that's going to be as you start getting out of the calibrated focal point.
Yeah, and unless you can get it all the way calibrated. But yeah, I'm sure the camera will be a big difference too. And it probably need to be at least 13 megapixel. I mean, you need a pretty high resolution, probably HDMI out too, to get the full bandwidth, if it's going to monitor it in real time.
Yep.
So I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I think it'd be neat. I think it'd end up being a big $20,000 R&D project that never went anywhere, but I just like thinking about stuff like that. That's also more to go wrong. So maybe we should just keep it simple, but I can never just keep it simple. I have absolutely zero to talk about, and that's horrible. If I was a teacher, they would fire me.
Did anyone
Actually, I guess I
join?
am kind of a teacher.
Did anyone join Travis's live stream yesterday?
I think so. I watched it for a little bit. We had a little snafu with the key. I had to make it persistent for the stream key.
Yeah,
I saw it come up, but I was busy, so I haven't watched it yet. I imagine it'll be recorded and show back up. But
I got the first 20 minutes or so, and then I had to jump off, so I haven't revisited it yet.
I was busy and completely forgot. I think I watched it like, I don't know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. It is recorded. It's on YouTube. That's what I was getting ready to say. He said he was going to be on here today to recap or ask questions, and I figured there'd be a filler, but he ain't on here.
Yeah, he probably got tied up. He's
It wasn't
got a lot
bad.
of stuff going on up there.
It wasn't bad. He covered basically just doing slate coasters, and he broke it down on the cost of the coasters, the cost of the glazing, the cost of electricity, the coast of the tube. There was something else in there that he had the cost of. So he did like the complete cost breakdown so you could see exactly how the profitability of it was.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good little teaching thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And getting $10 a piece for him, that's awfully good.
Well, that was the next thing. Did he talk about marketing and sales? Because I got a load of them, and I showed some people. They think, oh yeah, that looks neat. But I've not had tons of people say, yeah, I want those.
He covered like doing basically personalized the ones for monograms, and then he had some generic like dad beer goes here scenario.
Yeah, stuff. What he said was stuff that you'd be hard to find like in a souvenir shop because it might not be personal or a little bit more custom or a little more taboo or whatever.
And I think he did cover Etsy a little bit of sort of anti-Etsy thing going on there. And I think he said in another video he was going to cover more marketing and type of stuff as well. But he was talking about like Facebook Marketplace and then how he hits it like once a week or once every 2 weeks. I'm trying to remember everything that he had said about that, but I mean he hit everything just a little bit here and there, and I think it's just because it was his first run on it. And he said he was going to cover more as he goes along.
Yeah.
Good deal.
It's a good learning thing.
So cool. 334.
I haven't did any coasters, but I've got a real estate agent that my sister was working with, and he got with me about doing cutting boards and wants them engraved. Well, I'm so far behind in doing antiques that I lost one. Then he says, well, do these other 2. And then he kept calling me, and him and I kept missing each other, and I figured he's going to cancel those 2. No, he just dumped another 4 on me. And I hadn't even went to the sawmill yet. I'm going, this is why I didn't want to do anything commercially with the laser until I got everything out of the shop, which is supposed to be the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been killing myself trying to get these antiques out of here.
Yeah, you have to get you some help.
I just keep telling the wife. She's like, I'm like, I don't want no employees. I've been down that road, but my hands have been so swollen up, and my knuckles are all jacked up from RA, and it's picking stuff for hours on end with a razor blade.
Yeah. Wow.
And then I use these mini razor blades that are they're like this big, and I'm sitting there holding those for hours and picking, and it
Wow.
sucks.
That sounds like 20 million times worse than weeding vinyl with a pair of dull tweezers.
Yeah, I heck, where's that razor at? I mean, that razor is probably only quarter inch big,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there holding it. I had got a chair in here, and the chair was almost pure milky white, chalky, all dry rotted, and it had the original material and stuff on it. Took the material off, and it actually still had the straw and the cotton padding in it, the original springs,
Hmm.
and there was a lot of dry rot where I kept sanding on this chair, and the guy was sort of questioning his wife even wanting to bring it to me, and it's a family heirloom sitting in barns for years, different barns. Well, then I started
Hmm.
sanding it. First, I thought it was mahogany. After about an hour of sanding, just trying to get through the dry rot, ended up finding out it was solid cherry, and then finding out that there was all kinds of scroll detail work in this chair you could not even see.
Hmm.
And when the guy come back in here, he just for somebody who was against it in the beginning, he was like all touchy feely with the chair and was amazed.
Yeah.
But he actually preserved something. They're figuring trying to go back through the family is probably late 1800s,
Nice.
maybe early 1900s. But it actually went from a barn find looking piece of garbage to absolutely gorgeous. And I didn't even put a clear on it. She's
Hmm.
wanting to do it herself.
Awesome.
But that's hours of picking with razor blades and
I wouldn't
Hey,
have the
Brian.
patience for that. Yeah.
Hey, with the rotaries, I've had a couple people ask. Um, I guess I'm trying to find out or gauge how people would feel about having a a dual adjusting low roller. Because
Um, we
I've had a
could,
couple people ask about it. Obviously, because you can't put a rotoboss in a 24 or similar machines.
mhm. Well,
Um,
wouldn't the same limitations that keep you from the junior keep you from having both of them adjustable? Or what would you
not
what could you gain because you can't really go down?
what do you what do you mean?
Well, I
No,
mean,
the only reason I'm trying to process what you're saying as far as if you have a dual adjust, you're not going to hurt anything um, by doing that. It's going to be a lot harder to kind of try to engineer it and keep everything compact and low and
yeah. I haven't
everything.
had anybody directly say, "Hey, can you get a low roller that's adjustable on both ends?" I have had a few people say, "Do you have a way that we could make a quick release to move that thing back and forth instead of using the long lead screw without completely disabling it?"
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to do that. I mean, I mean, yeah. I mean,
But
there's no real practical or feasible way to do that.
yeah,
At
but
least not that I can think of that would still maintain the function.
right.
I
I don't know. Um,
mean,
Put a high speed stepper on it and you can just do it electronically.
yeah.
man, wouldn't that be
Actually,
cool?
I'm actually going to be building one like that here before too long.
Nice.
Yeah.
Probably just for myself, but just just because I
You
can.
can't say stuff like that. I'm gonna do something really cool and then I'm gonna keep it to myself.
Yeah.
Offer it to a select
If it's
few early
feasible and
adopters.
practical, it might be available. Who knows? But no, as far as
I,
all that goes, I've
yeah,
just had a couple people, not many, and I've
yeah. I
thought
haven't
about
had
it,
any, at least not through
but
the support site. I haven't had any formal questions like that. Now, granting them, they may have heard that before. Had a request for
yeah,
that or somebody asking about it. I haven't personally, though. Not about that specific thing.
yeah. I mean, I just the one guy actually was today. As matter of fact, that's kind of why I bring it up. He was
Hmm.
asking, um, Because obviously, if you're doing tumblers or something on the low roller, you can't really get the height out of it, and that's why I told him. I said that's why it was made to accept the junior or the Rotoboss wheels, so that
Hmm.
way you can mix and match the wheels and get the offset you need to do
Right.
growlers and things like that with it.
Oh, you
Along
know
with
what?
the,
You're right. If you're doing a growler, you would need that other side adjustable, possibly. Yeah.
yeah.
Or
Couldn't you
have
put
the right wheel combination. I wasn't thinking about that.
couldn't you
I
put
see what you mean.
adjustable feet on there
Uh,
instead of worrying about that? Wouldn't it? So that way you could just adjust the feet on the one side.
yeah. I mean that is a possibility. Never really thought about anything like that. But yeah, I mean that would be a possibility. Um, I can't hear Glenn if he's talking to us
Nah, he's talking to somebody else.
or Gene or not Glenn. Gene.
Um,
I don't know if he was talking to us or not. But yeah, so I was just wondering. Um,
yeah,
Not a big deal.
if it comes up, I'll let you know, or anything, any kind of feedback like that. Um,
I definitely want to keep trying to innovate it a little bit, makes it do something a little different.
yeah.
Um, so
Well, the good thing is since you got a 24, you got a physical one there to make sure that
yeah,
everything's cool. So that's if you did want to tinker with that, that'd be a
and I've been tinkering with the idea of getting away with the low roller altogether, and then just figuring out a way to make a cradle for the junior to drop it down inside the blades, so it basically hangs from the blades.
hmm.
Um, to try
I
to
follow you.
cut down on how many different devices we have.
Yeah,
Because I mean, essentially, I mean, the junior is the low roller. It's just a lower profile, so you better clearance.
right.
But if there's a way to create brackets or something to drop it down inside that would mount to the actual feet of the rotary,
Hmm.
and we might be able to get away with just using junior and do away with the low roller.
Right.
So
I
I mean,
see.
it's
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
so
I guess my
okay.
laptop mic isn't working, but yeah, that's what I was saying was I've had to do a group of 80 wine glasses here recently, and I couldn't get the rotor to adjust properly. So I just put some wood underneath of one end of it, raised the head end of it up, and I
Yeah.
was able to get everything at the right angle. So adjustable feet on one end, or whatever, that would help in a lot of situations, I think.
They
Yeah, it's
could
definitely
just
something
screw
I could
down
look
from the
into.
bottom, like a T-bolt or something almost. You just twist it and it just comes right out the bottom. All you have to do is drill a quarter 20 hole and thread it and just run it through there. Make adjustable feet like on copiers.
Yeah, they can definitely figure something out for sure.
Yeah.
But like I
Well,
said,
you
I'm
can
kind
make
of
all kind of stuff, but I see
I'm
where
just
you're getting at too. You want to keep it all standard and uniform and as non-complicated as possible.
well. I mean, if I can do away with a low roller, then you
Yeah,
know that'd be better for me.
right.
Um,
Because that has parts on it that the others don't. Like the
uh,
feet and the stuff like that. I mean, you wouldn't have to do those anymore either. You know what I mean? You.
yeah, but really, I mean, yeah, really, the only thing that's different is the wheels. Everything else is modeled. They're all interchange. Everything else is interchangeable.
Hmm.
So really, just the wheels, the drive wheels, the slave wheels are really the only
Gotcha.
ones. But I mean, it's just a matter of not having to have three different versions. And
Hmm.
really, the only reason there is a third one is because of lasers like the Nova 24, where you need as much clearance as you possibly can get.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Or for that matter, just go with the full. Just make them
What
all
do you mean?
full. Make just the full roto. Just go with one model.
Oh, well, I mean, I gotta think of other lasers and stuff too, not just Thunder.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, if a junior will fit in a boss with a full,
yeah, if it's a compact or the full length one, yeah,
gotcha.
depending on the
Oh,
size
that's
of
right
the.
there. How much longer is that the only big difference? There's not a big height difference in the junior and the full. It's the
No, they're
length.
all the
Is
same.
there a little?
They're all the same height as far as the towers
Okay.
go. The only difference is like for the what you call the full is the Rotoboss.
Yeah.
The Rotoboss sits about an inch higher than the Junior because the motor's positioned underneath the drive wheels to make everything compact and so you can make it liftable
Gotcha.
or raise and lower. And then the
Gotcha.
Junior sits about an inch and a half less,
And the
and
motor's
then
on the
the
other side.
and then the low roller sits about an inch and a half less than that.
Okay.
So you're about 5, 6, and 9, 8.5, 9 inches of your increments between the three rotaries.
Would
Gotcha.
it make sense to eliminate the middle one and just have the small one in the full?
No, because the middle one, the Junior, that's the best one of the two between the low roller and the Junior, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
just by lowering it in the chassis of the laser would make it even that much more versatile and functional, for the at least the Nova 24. Because like I said, the low roller was an afterthought of the Junior, um, and the Junior was an afterthought of the Rotoboss. So the Rotoboss is what came out first. That was the first thing I ever had, for myself, and then the Junior came out, and that's what I marketed publicly. And then people saw that I had the Rotoboss, and they liked that, so I started making that more, and it just kind of went from there. And then I wanted to eliminate the hot dog roller for a lot of the cabinet lasers, um, because they had to have it because of the height restrictions.
Hmm.
So that's why the low roller came about, because it sits as low as you possibly can get, inside the machine. So
Yeah.
it makes
And
it.
yeah, Thunder just adopted them backwards. We got the junior for the 35s, and of course the low roller for the 24s. You know, the 35 and up got a junior, and that's all we offered. We didn't start offering the full Rotoboss, the one with the dual adjustment, till what, a year ago or a year and a half ago, maybe.
It's been about a year and a half,
Yeah. So
but yeah, that was a dumb move on my part.
what
Not
was?
with you, not with you guys. Well,
What?
limiting who could have it.
Oh, the low roller.
No, the Rotoboss. Because remember before I was working with somebody else and I gave them exclusive rights to it, to use it, and that's why nobody else could get it at the time.
Um,
Or maybe you didn't know that. I don't know.
I'm not
But
sure, but
that's what happened with that. And then and that deal was called off, and then that's why they started offering them to Thunder. And
gotcha.
nobody has exclusivity to any of them anymore.
Right.
But
Well, there's enough pie out there for everybody, right?
yeah,
So,
Just be exclusive to whoever has $800, right? It'd be good.
what's that?
Just be exclusive to whoever gives you $800, right?
There you go.
That's who can have it.
Yep.
Hey, one thing I did on mine
mhm.
that's actually helped me out a lot is I'll go do a few tumblers and I'll go do something else and then I'll move it back in. I took if you take your two, I guess your base extrusions that run, I guess, forward to back on the machine.
Mm-hmm.
I effectively extended those out a little bit longer to the front and then put a piece across and drop me a little acrylic plate off of it. So it gives me a registration off the front side of the honeycomb that keeps it nice and square, and I can drop it in and then I can set a point in light burn that keeps me center line of it. So when I
Yep.
drop it in, all I got to do is effectively adjust my left to right. Line that up, and I've got a decent registration every time, because I found after doing it a few times, I got up there and I'm jogging the laser over, trying to line it up perfectly, and then set it to run it. So that saved me a lot of time, especially if if you're doing one job and you get it centered and you run 50 of them through is one thing, but if you do 50 tumblers and you go cut out a few signs, and a week later you go do tumblers, you got to line it all up, get it squared, get it positioned, and set your origin point, or start it again.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that was a little bit of effort and a lot of benefit on it.
well, the new ones coming out are going to have magnet feet stock on them. Originally that wasn't something that I offered, but me being dumb and not actually checking, didn't know that the honeycomb bed was actually made of steel and not aluminum. So,
I guess you never pulled it out to clean it, huh?
Oh, I don't clean anything.
There you go.
I use it until it catches fire, then it burns off.
I would say the best way to clean it is just to run the laser across it.
I never checked, because every laser I've ever had has been aluminum, so I didn't even bother to give it a second thought.
Well,
yeah,
hey, with the magnet feet, you could even make your jig that has recessed magnets in the same location and the right polarity, and that way they'll just snap right onto the jig. Kind of same effect.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll have the magnetic cup feet.
Mm-hmm.
That'll sit in there and actually hold it in place.
That'll be good. I'll enjoy that, because I have a habit of knocking mine around, even with those little rubber things on there. So, which I think I've managed to knock them all off now. That might be part of my problem.
Yeah, the rubber feet were put on there at a time trying to help it grip the honeycomb.
Yeah, solve a problem. Yeah. So.
But a lot of people complained about it. It wasn't working. It wasn't good enough. So I just stopped putting them on altogether.
It's a problem with dealing with the public, though. Yeah. You can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, that's true. But I had quite a few people. It wasn't just like one or two. It was quite a few. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's not working or whatever. So.
Yeah, and what I found is if I'm worried about it moving, if I'm going to do 50 tumblers, and I get it lined up and I throw a couple of my Holddowns. Right, so I cut my own, so you cut a little bit longer one, and then you can actually hold down the extrusion rather than just a piece of sheet goods, and dog that down, and it holds it in place.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So Brian, you started playing around in Illustrator much, or done anything different on what you're doing with the fiber?
Not really. I haven't had a chance to get on it. I haven't actually turned it on since last week. I need to get back on there. I am planning on making a short things setup videos will be my first priority on them, and so I'm going to go through the entire workflow. Some of the settings are particular to this machine because of the safety interlocks. This one still utilizes a TL timer. It's just a little bit different version for some of the onboard stuff. So
what's it using the timer for the exhaust? Oh yeah, because it's the cabinet, so it's got the exhaust fit. Okay.
Yeah, for the exhaust, and I think the interlocks are built in on that one. I don't think it has a separate maintenance board. I think the interlocks, or maybe that's on the control direct to on that controller on that one. And then there's a separate autofocus board also.
Yeah, that's one. Still hoping Lightburn picks up a fiber laser. This man.
Yeah, well, he's been working on that for years. I think that's a hard nut to crack. So
yeah, and it's one of those where you play with Lightburn for a bit, and then you jump over an Illustrator and you do something, and you go into EasyCAD. I can't tell you how many times I mess up stuff because of the wrong hotkey or keystroke, just because I'm jumping between 3 different programs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I honestly don't design enough to feel that kind of pain. I mean, I get in Illustrator every once in a while, and I get in Photoshop every once in a while, but most of the stuff I run, people send to me because I'm doing a test or something. But
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
get to be
playing with a
creative, and it's not
good
probably.
bit of Illustrator that other people do. So I'm
Yeah.
buying stuff from like Frag Out Design
Oh yeah.
Studios and stuff there. Some of his.
Now I've watched a bunch of his stuff, and man, he makes that look pretty easy on AI.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he's pretty good. The other thing is what's interesting is he draws most of it by hand and then goes in and draws it in AI, traces it in AI. Well, I say
right.
traces, but manually draws it with AI over the top of his hand drawing. So no, he's got some really good stuff though. Yeah, and his workflow seems to be bulletproof on going from something, whatever it is, and getting it prepped for EasyCAD seems to work very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yep, if this didn't work, you screwed up the previous step. Backspace or Control Z it and go back to it.
Yeah, I wish I had that amount of creativity. So, but all right, it's we got 4 minutes left. If anybody has any laser related questions, I'll be happy to take them or anything else. I should make sure I don't miss anybody. This has been a kind of odd day for me. I've had a cold for the past couple of days, and I've been eating cold medicine like it's Pez candy. So
Probably
I'm a little
COVID.
off today. Well, maybe I'm off a little every day, but maybe a little bit more today.
Maybe what you need to do is just start having a rule that you go around the room and every single person has to ask a question.
Right.
That sounds like an AA meeting or something. I don't want it to be that structured. Well, I guess I will cut this thing off, and so I can go call Grant immediately and see what in the world he was talking about. So,
Not fair.
yeah, last call. If anybody's got anything, I'll be glad to chat for another 30 minutes if we have something to chat about. All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna fire this thing off, and I guess I'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one.
All right, you guys take care.
Easy.